Welcome back to Empowered Creative Living for Authors and Aspiring Writers podcast.
Yeah,
I'm so excited for a deep dive today.
me too.
It's a topic that's so important, especially in the world of romance. We're going to be talking about writing diverse characters.
Oh, definitely. And we have a great resource to help us explore this.
Yeah, we're going to be unpacking a blog post.
Okay.
It's called Writing Diverse Characters in Romance, Why It Matters.
I love that title.
And it's by Regina Paul, who's a successful romance author. And she brings this really unique perspective to the conversation.
Right, because she's not just a writer, she also has Native American heritage.
Exactly. So she has firsthand experience with the need for authentic representation in stories. So let's just start with the basics.
Okay.
Why does representation even matter? Especially in a genre like romance, which is all about connection, right?
You know, when you see yourself in a story, it's
Yeah.
just incredibly validating.
It is.
You know, it tells you that your story is worthy of being told.
It makes you feel seen.
Yes. And in romance, that's so important because it's a genre all about feeling seen and understood.
Totally. And Regina Paul, in her blog post, actually mentions this survey from a romance reader website.
Okay.
And it said that a huge majority of readers are actively longing for books with diverse characters.
Wow, so readers are demanding it.
They really are. They want to see themselves in these love stories.
Makes sense. If you keep seeing the same type of person or relationship over and over,
Yeah.
it can make you feel like your own experiences with love aren't important.
Like you don't belong.
Exactly. And romance novels, they have this power, right, to influence how we see love in relationships.
For sure. So by including diverse characters,
Hmm.
you're actually shaping perceptions of what's normal or what's possible.
It's powerful. You know, but with that power comes a responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
To get it right.
Regina Paul makes that really clear in her blog post.
Absolutely. And I think that's where the how becomes just as important as the why. Because it's one thing to say, okay, we need more diversity, but how do we actually write those characters well? How do we avoid stereotypes?
Right. That's where Regina Paul's personal experience as a Native American woman is really valuable, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And she talks about this in her blog post. You know, she was reading romance novels in the 80s.
Okay.
And there were so many harmful stereotypes about Native Americans, especially in historical novels.
Like that stereotypical stoic warrior or the mystical maiden.
Yeah.
Those are just, I mean, those reduce entire cultures to these simple caricatures.
And they can be so damaging.
So damaging.
It's like saying, hey, I'm not a stereotype.
Mm.
I'm a complex person with a rich culture.
Yes. And we have to remember that for all diverse characters,
Totally.
we need to go beyond those surface level representations and really dig deeper.
So how do we do that? How do we avoid those pitfalls? Like, how do we write authentic and respectful, diverse characters?
Well, Regina Paul offers some great advice in her post.
Okay, tell me more.
First, thorough research. You can't just rely on assumptions or, you know, what you've seen in movies.
Right.
You have to really immerse yourself in the culture
Yeah.
and the lived experiences of the communities you're writing about.
And that means going beyond, just reading a couple articles online,
For sure.
engaging with the community, reading books by authors from that background.
Yes, and listening to those voices.
Because within any community, there's so much diversity.
Absolutely, it's not a monolith.
And this ties into another point she makes. Sensitivity readers.
So crucial.
Can you talk a little bit about why those are so important?
Yeah, so a sensitivity reader, it's someone from the community you're writing about
Okay.
who reads your manuscript and gives you feedback on if the portrayal is accurate.
And respect.
And respectful, right? And avoids stereotypes.
It's like having an extra set of eyes.
It really is.
Someone who can point out things that you might have missed.
Yeah, your blind spots, even if you have the best intentions.
And then being humble enough to take that feedback.
Yes, and use it to improve your work.
It's a learning process.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, if you're interested in learning more about Regina Paul's thoughts,
Yes.
I highly recommend checking out her website.
What is it?
It's www.reginapaul.com.
Okay, great suggestions.
Yeah.
I've been there myself, and it's such a great resource for writers
Yeah,
who are looking to really explore this topic in more depth.
definitely. So now, getting back to crafting these diverse characters, Regina Paul really emphasizes writing individuals, not stereotypes.
I love that.
It's something that she really drives home in her post.
And that goes beyond just avoiding those obvious tropes, right?
Right. Every character, no matter their background, is a unique individual
Yeah.
with their own thoughts, feelings, motivations.
Complexities.
Yes.
Yeah.
They should be as fleshed out as any other character with their own strengths and weaknesses, dreams. You don't want to make them feel like they're only there to represent their race or ethnicity or sexual orientation. They should be there because they are interesting.
Compelling characters.
Compelling characters in their own right.
Yeah, and their background should inform their character, but not define them. Right.
That's a really important distinction, I think, because it's not about erasing or ignoring their identity, but making sure that they're not reduced to just that.
Right. It's about finding that balance.
It is. And I love how Regina Paul emphasizes focusing on the story, not just the character's identity.
Oh, yeah, me too.
It's a great reminder that diversity shouldn't be the sole focus of your story.
It should be woven in.
Seamlessly into the narrative, yeah. Enriching it, but not overshadowing the plot or the character's journey.
So it's not just about ticking boxes.
No.
It's about creating a world that feels real and representative of all the diversity that exists in the human experience.
That's what makes diverse romance so exciting.
It does.
It has the potential to tell stories that we haven't seen before.
Absolutely.
Stories that can change our perceptions and broaden our understanding of love.
And give everyone a chance to see themselves reflected in love stories, which is such a powerful thing.
It is.
Really powerful.
Yeah. Powerful, yeah. And it challenges the status quo.
Oh, you're right. It does.
Yeah, when you think about it. Yeah. By showing relationships that maybe don't fit those traditional molds.
Right.
It can really broaden our understanding of what love can look like.
Yeah, absolutely. Because for so long, romance novels, they mainly focused on stories about white, heterosexual, able-bodied couples.
Yeah, and while those stories are great, they just don't represent everyone.
They don't represent the full spectrum of love and relationships that exist in the real world.
Right. It's like, imagine a world where everyone wears the same outfit.
Okay, yeah.
It might be a nice outfit.
It could be.
But wouldn't it be so much more vibrant and interesting if we embraced all the different styles and colors?
100%. And that's what's so exciting about diverse romance, you know?
Yeah.
It's bringing in those different colors and textures to the world of love stories.
It is, and it's creating that space where everyone feels like they can see themselves.
Yeah.
You know, no matter who they love or how they identify.
Absolutely. And Regina Paul, she actually uses this metaphor in her post, too.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, she talks about how diverse romance is like opening a window to a world you never knew existed.
I like that.
Filled with different cultures and perspectives and experiences.
It is. It really is.
And in doing so, we're not just learning about love. We're challenging those societal norms.
Right. Those norms about who we're allowed to love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she really sees this as a responsibility for romance authors.
You know, to push boundaries and advocate for inclusivity.
What's like a form of activism.
Yeah.
Using stories to make positive change.
It is, and we all have a role to play in that, whether we're writers or readers.
Okay, I love that you said that, because I think so many people might feel like they're just one person.
Right.
And what they do doesn't really make a difference.
Right.
So what would you say to someone who's thinking that?
Well, I would say every choice we make, even something small like choosing what books to read, that can have an impact.
It can.
And by actively seeking out and supporting diverse stories, you're sending a message to the publishers, to the authors.
That this is what we want.
That this is what readers want.
It's about creating that demand.
Exactly. Yeah. We can also amplify those stories by recommending books we love.
Yeah, leaving reviews talking about them.
Yes, word of mouth is so powerful.
It really is. Speaking of recommendations, do you have any favorite diverse romance authors? Or books that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Oh my gosh, there are so many talented authors out there.
I know. It's hard to choose.
It is, but we already mentioned Jasmine Guillory and Alyssa Cole.
They're amazing.
They're pioneers in the diverse romance space.
Their books are just so funny and smart and sexy.
And their characters feel so real.
Yeah, and they don't shy away from tackling important social issues.
So true.
Another author I love is Sonali Dev.
Oh, yeah.
Her contemporary romances are set in India and the U.S.
I love her books.
And they're so full of life and culture.
And her descriptions of food.
Oh my gosh, I know. They always make me so hungry.
She's got a gift. What about Rebecca Weatherspoon? Have you read her work?
Yes. I love her books. Her characters are so endearing, you just can't help but root for them.
She writes across a range of subgenres, too.
Yeah, she does. Contemporary, paranormal, historical.
She's not afraid to experiment.
I admire that so much.
These are just a few of the amazing, diverse romance authors out there, you know?
Yeah.
There are so many, but the best thing is to just dive in and start exploring.
Yes. Absolutely. Don't be afraid to try something new and discover all the amazing stories this genre has to offer.
Who knows, you might even learn something about yourself along the way.
Okay, so before we move on to our final part of the discussion,
Okay.
I just want to take a minute and reflect on what we've talked about.
Okay, yeah.
We started by talking about the importance of representation, especially in romance.
Right, where connection is so vital.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We talked about some of the common mistakes writers can make.
Stereotypes, not doing enough research.
Yeah, and Regina Paul's advice on avoiding those.
Yeah, and sensitivity readers.
So important.
Absolutely. And just being willing to listen and learn.
It's been such a rich conversation.
It really has. I've enjoyed it.
Me too. And before we wrap up, just a reminder.
Yes.
If you're interested in learning more about Regina Paul and her work, you can visit her website.
It's a great resource.
It is. It's www.reginapaul.com.
Definitely check it out.
Okay, so in our final segment, we're going to be looking ahead to the future of diverse romance.
I'm excited about that.
Me too.
Yeah.
What are some of the trends we're seeing, and what do we hope to see more of?
That's what we're going to talk
I
about.
can't wait. Okay, so we've covered the why and the how.
Yeah.
But now I'm curious, what do you see for the future of diverse romance? Where do we go from here?
Oh, that's the exciting part. You know, we're seeing so much progress already,
Mm-hmm.
but there's always room to grow. Like for me, I'd love to see even more diversity
Oh.
in the types of characters and relationships that we're seeing.
So going beyond, like, just race and ethnicity.
Exactly. We are starting to see more LGBTQ plus characters and characters with disabilities
Yeah.
and characters from different socioeconomic backgrounds.
Which is fantastic.
It is. But there's still so much more to explore.
I agree. So what kind of stories are you hoping to see more of? What's on your wish list?
Well, I think it would be incredible to see romances featuring characters who are neurodivergent.
Oh.
Maybe characters from underrepresented religious groups.
Yeah.
Characters who are dealing with chronic illnesses.
Hmm.
You know, really embracing that full spectrum of human experience
Yeah.
and showing that love exists everywhere,
I love that.
regardless of your background or your circumstances.
It's about recognizing that everyone deserves to see themselves in love stories.
Yes, exactly. And it's not just about representation for the sake of it.
Yeah.
It's about telling those stories authentically and with nuance.
So moving beyond just checking boxes.
Yes. Like, I would love to see more romances that explore intersectionality.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, how race and class and gender, sexual orientation, how they all intersect
Yeah.
and shape a person's lived experience.
Absolutely. Because we're not just one thing.
Right.
We're a combination of all these different parts of ourselves.
Exactly. And I think the more we can explore that in our stories,
Mhm.
the more relatable they will become.
You know, something I'd also love to see more of is joy and celebration.
Oh, I love that. Especially when we're talking about marginalized communities.
Yeah.
It's so important.
It's about showing them thriving,
Yes.
living their best lives.
Showing the beauty and resilience of those communities.
Yeah.
And how love can be a source of strength.
And healing.
And healing, yeah. It's about giving those characters the happy endings that they deserve.
Because representation isn't just about acknowledging the struggles.
Right.
It's also about celebrating the triumphs.
Yes, and showing that love can conquer all.
It's about reminding everyone that they are worthy of love and happiness.
Exactly.
No matter what.
Yeah.
And it's about inspiring hope and possibility.
Beautifully said. You know, as excited as I am about the future,
Yeah.
it's important to remember this is a journey.
It's a process, not a destination.
Exactly. We need to constantly push ourselves to do better, be more inclusive,
To listen.
to learn,
Yeah.
and to recognize that we don't have all the answers.
Yeah. And we're always going to be learning
Always.
and growing. And that's okay.
It is. The important thing is that we're having these conversations.
Yeah.
We're challenging the status quo, and we're committed to creating a world where everyone feels seen
Heard.
and valued.
And where everyone can find themselves in a romance novel.
I love that.
Well, this has been such an insightful and inspiring conversation.
It has.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
It's my pleasure. It's been fun.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
into the world of diverse romance.
Mhm.
We hope you've learned something new
Yeah,
and that you'll continue to explore all the amazing stories that this genre has to offer.
definitely.
And don't forget to check out Regina Paul's website.
Yeah.
It's www.reginapaul.com.
It's a great resource.
It's a treasure trove of information and inspiration.
It is.
Thank you for listening to Empowered Creative Living for Authors and Aspiring Writers podcast.